Welcome back, and today, after the F-117 and the Su-34, we are finally flying out something that is actually good. And when I say good, I mean ridiculous. You've probably already seen the other videos that are already made on this thing from other YouTubers, but let me get you up to speed on why this thing is so ridiculous in Era B. Well, yes, it's the fatter variant of the F-15C with upgraded engines, but the upgraded engines here make a hell of a difference. If you remember the Kfir C7 on launch, it meant that you were able to sit at like 6 kilometers and basically out-energy every sparrow slung at you. And this is no different. And here we are sitting at Mach 2 in a turn while getting a quad feed, and it's honestly not even an uncommon experience. Energy has two sides in BVR combat. The first one is having the ability to store more energy in your balls so you can fire these missiles further. Because of course, if your platform is faster when you launch it, you give the missile more effective range. Secondly, it's defensively. Because we are so damn fast, we're able to do a kind of an F-pole maneuver. And if you are wondering about BVR and all that combat, I made a guide on it, I'll link it in the description. I won't go into it too much today. But with the speed that we are carrying, by going right first, if they launch at us, we're able to kind of turn back in, drop 8 MRAMs and then turn left out. And this way, even if they pre-fire us with long-range missiles, these missiles will never get to us. And if they fire the missiles a little bit later, then I'm going to be out of there. So they're basically forced to do nothing and only go defensive. Now, sometimes it is a little bit sketchy because we are going to get closer than you would in basically any other plane. Because if you try this in any other plane, you're going to be too slow to actually go cold and you have to notch all of these missiles, which is a lot more dangerous and a lot harder to do, because a lot of the time you don't see where they are coming from. You are alone at altitude, you are a sitting duck. This is not real life, this is a 16v16 on a pretty small map. But because this thing has so much power, we're able to basically just get within their no escape zone. Or at least a no escape zone for other vehicles and then just leave anyway. And this happens so frequently that I actually had to cut a lot of them out. Now some here you see it 3 times, sometimes it's a 4 times, sometimes it's 2 times. But a lot of these times I also got a crit, sometimes a severe, sometimes just a hit. And they end up crashing a little bit later, but I'm trying to keep this video somewhat entertaining. So instead of just showing you 15 minutes of me slinging missiles across the map, here's a full game where I still sling missiles across the map. At the end of my play session, I decided that this was the most reliable way to get kills and be effective. There's 2 sides of this. The first one is you get quite a decent amount of kills at the start of the game, snowballing the game infinitely into your favor. Secondly, it gets some interesting fights after the initial stage, because you are marking yourself for the entire enemy team. I have a contrail, I just popped off in the kill feed, they know I'm there, they see me shoot off 8 missiles, they know I'm out of missiles, and now they will chase us back to the runway. So playing like this actually got me some 1v1s, it got me some carries, and overall it just made the late game experience a little bit better. If not, just snowball the game so hard that it's instantly over. Which is also a good thing, because then I can go into the next match. Here we go back to the runway. We notice there is someone locking us up from behind. And I can do 2 things there. I can of course go back to land. I can camp the airfield. Or we turn this into a nice little 1v1. So as we TWS this guy through an entire mountain. I'm still convinced that's a mountain. I don't want to hear it. We just kind of close the gap. Now I'm trying to find him with a TWS. I see the missile come off the rail and we dive into the terrain here. I don't want to deal with his missiles. Breaking line of sight like this is the best way to defeat them, because it makes it so that there is no RNG involved. It's never going to hit us. We merge with this mountain, we pitch in, make sure that you don't go too fast, because this thing is just so incredibly powerful that you end up overshooting into their guns almost instantly. So we solidify our position. This thing is a bit of a boat, but against randoms in Era B, you should be able to get away with it. So we pitch in here, we miss the shot. Just kidding, we send him back to the hangar. After killing him, we notice that the RWR is pretty much clear, so we go and land. And now it's 3v1, I think it is, and we have 5 kills and an assist. Now we lock onto the first guy. It's going to be an A4B, unfortunately. Bit of a waste of an MRAM, but of course we can spot beyond 10 kilometers right now. They are going to fix it, they talked about it, it's a bug. I tried to make sure that today's gameplay wasn't really affected by it, so you can actually use this in something like the future, instead of it being basically irrelevant in a week from now. So I tried to keep that in the back of my mind. It will of course affect it a little bit, but just bear with me. It is patch week. It is always going to be a mess. Here, I'm trying to merge. I'm going very fast. I need to make sure that I don't go too fast, because then I can't turn at all. But at Mach 1.4 at this altitude, I feel pretty okay. I should be able to just turn out after launching some missiles off. I'm trying to switch targets. I get one missile off on both. Probably should have shot a second one on the left guy. I'm not entirely sure what these planes are, other than there is one Gripen. We go into the notch, we go into the vertical, and we try to open up the gap a little bit. We manage to get a crit or a severe on the J10. He is going to be down. We go cold on this missile. It's a PL-12. It won't have the most amount of range, and we're able to just simply outrun it. However, we are being chased by a missile. We are being chased by the Gripen, but I'm not entirely sure if the Gripen is actually chasing us. So instead of turning to the right, we turn to the left here, just to make sure that we open up the gap a little bit, because I don't think he's actively chasing us right now. So we turn around. We notice the missile coming in. We've already defeated that for the most part, so we should be completely okay. She did a massive loop with the speed that we had. TWS picks up that guy. Shoot off an MRAM. He is completely dead. Now we just need to make sure that we notch his missile properly. And we do so. Gripen actually staggered himself. He's now on our side, so we need to make sure that we notch his missile before we actually... Let's take a look at some dogfights, because of course after dumping our entire load and getting sometimes 0, sometimes 4 to 5 kills, we get chased back to the runway. And these fights are a little bit interesting. We are on low fuel, because I carry almost min fuel with 2 bags that I drop just before I go back, just so when I get chased, I'm low on fuel and I'm able to retaliate. F-16 coming in, I'm using the terrain. He sees me a little bit later. He doesn't actually see me instantly, but he does merge with us, so we need to make sure that we get out of his nose in case he shoots an MRAM. He doesn't. He then merges very weirdly. He pulls straight down in front of us, almost instantly beam him out of the air. We have pretty good position now. We're a little bit slower than him. And he's going straight vertical, decreasing his rate. He's also not really afterburning. He then puts it back on and then goes down and then goes straight back up. Looking at the recording here, it felt pretty good when I killed him, but this was just him misplaying severely, just like he just got severely damaged. Not very indicative to the performance of the F-15 versus the F-16C, because the F-16C should win that one. But I didn't have many examples of a dogfight, so I decided to include it anyway. We are being chased back to the runway this time. We only shot 4 of them because we kind of got caught off guard by another F-15. We were forced to kind of turn out a bit earlier, and it's an Su-27 SM. Now, he doesn't get killed by the F-15. We are not able to lock onto him either, and I don't think he really notices us just yet, so we're just kind of gonna pull straight into him. We cut throttle prematurely. We want to get the position, because it's an Su-27. All we need to do is just kind of jam the WES, you know the stuff. Just try to not get locked up by the R-73. If you start behind him, the Su-27 is as good as dead. That thing doesn't have the performance to hang with this. We are gonna outrate this guy extremely hard. He tries to reverse his turn, and just like that, we miss all our shots, and then we put him into the ground. Good night. There you go, there is kill number 1. As you saw, I had no kills on the board because I missed 4 of my MRAMs at the start of the game. I panicked a little bit, shot a little bit prematurely, just to find out a few games later that I can basically just go up until like 15 kilometers and then turn around anyway, because this thing is ridiculously fast with way too much engine power. We shoot a missile at a guy in the middle of the map. Turns out it's an AI. Shoot a second missile off at the F-16 in orbit. And we're gonna go defensive a little bit. I'm not sure if his missile is doing anything. We decide to notch anyway, because I'm not gonna go cold here. And I am pretty low on energy here compared to him. I'm only going Mach 1. He's a lot higher than us. But I'm gonna use this to our advantage, because he probably wants to maintain that energy advantage, because that's something that you see very often in this game. And being low energy in the F-15 really doesn't mean anything, because you are about to get it back in approximately 12.5 seconds. We defeated this missile by going cold, notching a little bit, got out of range, RWR warning is gone, and now we have him locked up on TWS. He has a massive contrail, and as I talked about in my video about, well, BVR tactics basically, you should know that if someone is notching, you can pressure him. Just try to stay from the other side of the nose. I have him locked up here. I'm gonna wait for him to turn in. If he doesn't turn out instantly, he dies to it, and if he does turn out instantly, I'm now on his 6. closing the gap very rapidly. I'm gonna wait for him to turn in, I'm gonna launch off the missile, and then I'm gonna pull into the direction that he is coming from, just so that his missile has to fly a little bit further, and we defeat it with absolutely zero issues. And here we are being chased by, I think it was an Su-34 or an Su-27, I'm not entirely sure, but it is a Sukhoi variant. And I noticed him on the RWR, he is closing the gap, so we are gonna do our due diligence and make sure to show him back to the hangar. So right now I'm just trying to figure out where he is exactly. He's kind of bumping all over the place. He is somewhat directly behind us. You can see that I'm kind of trying to look for him. No dot there is no spotting going on, there is no friendlies anyway. And I decide to just kind of use the shore here. I can almost call this a mountain, can't I? Can I call this a mountain? Let me know in the comments, I probably can. I look him up, I found him, he's 12 kilometers away. And we're gonna use the water here and this... yeah, it's a mountain. I think that's a mountain. And we're gonna make that block the missile, right? Now, of course not. We're gonna multipad it. We fly to the right. We are at a good altitude here. We pre-flare in case he shoots an R-73 at point blank. It is an Su-27. It's an SM. And we just kind of break here, get position, get behind him as quickly as possible. We don't want those pesky R-73s to be launched. And we instantly get a shot here. We miss everything. And then the very last bit of the burst, we manage to saw his wing off. Now be careful when you crit these planes, because R-73s, even in a flat spinning plane, are pretty dangerous. They can spin out, of course, they are thrust vectoring, and very often they will do absolutely nothing. But when it comes to RNG, I'm pretty unlucky, so we just Epstein him in the back of the head and we go into the next game. And bear with me, Freddy, for a second here, because this game is going to be a little bit slower in terms of flashiness. We are gonna go stupendous speeds, and I want to show you just how powerful the energy and the power is. But it's not gonna be the most flashy game. It is gonna be very telling and very textbook on how this thing performs though. Now this is one of my earlier games and I'm trying to test the limits of how fast it actually is. Even up here we are at 11 kilometers. And normally when you sit at these altitudes, at this BR, you feel very vulnerable. With this thing, you feel completely in control. The thing is that sitting up here does make you a massive target. And yes, you can run away forever and get nothing done. But that doesn't really get you any results. Now we only shot about 3 of the MRAMs at the head-on here. We managed to connect 2, which is fantastic. Wish I could connect 4. But unfortunately we are playing a different game and I only shot 3 missiles. Now after dumping our load, we just kind of go defensive. We turn out, we're going Mach 2.1 here almost at 10 kilometers. And let me tell you how glad I am that this is an actual game and I don't have to do this in real life, because pulling G's at 2.1 Mach sounds like an absolute nightmare. Now we are just kind of doing wide turns here, not that we can do tight turns, because I'm not entirely sure yet just how much effect the speed has. Of course in my head I know that the speed here will make a tremendous difference, but I was still stumped. It surprised me just how much it did. Sometimes you see missiles explode that were like tracking you and you see them explode like 3 kilometers away from you, because they never got close to begin with. And this game right here is what gave me the confidence for the games after. Su-27 on R6, not entirely sure what he is gonna fire at us. Make sure to not overspeed. With about 103% thrust, in a slide dive, you will overspeed in this thing at essentially every altitude. It will push past that 1620 mark without a sweat. The second you hear reduced speed or critical speed, actually listen to her. She can actually be right sometimes. Now here we're actually gonna dive out. I'm kind of getting sick of it up there. Everyone sees me. I have a contrail. I have people locking me. So I'm gonna go into the tickle air and actually get them down to my level. Also so that my team can actually help me out. Now I'm diving to a place where there's actually barely any teammates. So this ends up kind of biting me in the ass. But for now I'm only thinking about just going fast, getting out of here and breaking the interest essentially. Just so that they can break off and go somewhere else. Now we're turning in here, we're gonna use the water, and I'm just waiting for this guy to fly after us, because I know that with the commitment that he showed to go for us, he's gonna go for us all the way to the deck. Now we notice an F-15 on the RWR, he's a little bit on the right there. He's in the front right now, he's right above us. We're gonna lock him up and shoot a missile off. And I'm gonna risk the multipad for the very simple reason we are above the water. And if I start notching here, he basically gets a very free shot on me that I want to avoid. I shoot a missile at him, he's dodging, he doesn't notch quite well enough. And because he's so fast, he didn't turn out enough. gives me a pretty free kill. And that is going to be kill number 3, I think. Yeah, there it is, kill number 3. We have 4 MRAMs left and a decent amount of fuel. We go on 100% throttle, pick up some speed here. Also pick up some altitude, and we re-engage the middle of the map. Now we get locked up by an F-16. He's not using TWS, so I'm not sure if he's using Sparrows or if he just likes to use the hard lock. For everyone that doesn't know, TWS doesn't give you a track warning, and it's a lot more stealthy when it comes to engaging people. So I recommend you to use that if you have Fox 3s. Now flying head on here, it's F-16, he's locking us up. I don't know where he is exactly, I know where he is roughly. And then I look up, I see a contrail. I have a feeling he's right there, but I feel like it's not actually going to be him. I go into a little bit of a sideways aspect here just to make the notch a little bit easier. I slow down so I can merge with him, as well as notch out a little bit easier and be slower for the radar scope, which all in all just makes it a little bit more reliable to notch, at least in my experience. And then there's 2 of them at the same time. So we lock onto them, we shoot the first missile into the ground. Second missile also gets multi-patted. And I just merge way too fast here. They will get the shot on me instantly. And I put myself in a very bad position here. But the thing is, if I keep my throttle up, look at that, we are going Mach again. And I'm simply able to run away here. The missiles that they will shoot at me will not have the kinetic energy to actually catch up to me, because they are going so slow. By the time the missile gets off the rail, by the time it's out of juice, I'm already going faster than it. And look at that, we just outrun them without an issue. Now there's no teammates around, otherwise they could have licked those 2 guys up. Instead I have to do it on my own. We have 5 minutes of fuel left, which I thought was enough. Now I'm gonna try to just run away for a second here, get some separation, and then head on them with an MRAM. And try to get at least one of them out of the game. Now here, it's gonna take a little bit. We just want to get a little bit of separation. I could have ran a little bit longer, but I got indecisive. I got a little bit impatient, and I tried to be flashy for the content, as well as the fact that the fuel disappeared a little bit quicker than I thought. So we are gonna cut throttle here. Gonna try to merge at about 0.9, 0.85, just to make sure that we don't lock out. Yeah, there we go. Passed out, otherwise I could have killed one of them in the head on there. I kind of cocked myself. We turned back in here. We managed to get the shot on the first guy, almost. That's never gonna track. I just want to get my pressure on. I want to get some weight off the plane. And the way they are flying made it very hard for me to actually lock onto them both. And this is what killed me. One went to the right, one went up. I needed to commit to one, only get a crit. If I had a little bit more fuel here, I could have probably just ran away. But I'm on the clock here. We dodged the guns of the first guy. We merged with them both at the same time. And we go for the shot that I shouldn't have gone for. I should have focused on the guy that wasn't crit. The issue is that I only have 16 seconds of fuel left. And he is about to gun us down. Luckily, we have never made a mistake. And have never died in the history of War Thunder. So he ends up overshooting. And then we gun him down or something. And we go into the next game. Now, this is going to be a little bit more slop, where I just shoot people across the map. I hope that I painted a clear enough picture on why this thing is so ridiculous. And if you want more tips about top tier, just BVR combat, Fox 3s, Fox 1s, radar usage, flaring missiles and everything like that, I will leave them all in the description. I have about 50 minutes of guides on that topic alone. And of course also on other topics like defensive flying, aiming and all of the wazoo. Because that is what we built this channel of. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. This plane was quite a breeze to fly after the absolute pain and suffering that the F-117 was. The Su-34 fullback was slightly better, but goddamn, the F-117 has absolutely devoid me of all my sanity. But I do want to say thank you for the support I've gotten on that video, because in the first time since forever we managed to get 100,000 views in the first 24 hours, and this is absolutely unheard of, especially on my channel. The last best video that for the first 24 hours was my F-15E video on release, which got 70k. So the fact that I got 30% more than, it's probably more than 30% if you take the 70 as 100, but you get my point. It's like such a tangible difference. It's ridiculous, and I just want to thank you guys. I don't do this enough, and I can't really thank you with just words. It's been a real ride for like the last 6.5 years. I used to say I will never get 10k subs, and this was also part of my insecurities speaking, my criticalness, as well as just me being jaded and pessimistic. And I still kind of am those things, but that's just how I am. I don't really mind too much anymore. They're not intrusive, not getting in the way. And I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be myself. And also thank you to all the haters for just giving me a thicker skin. I used to read criticism and I would start arguing with them. I would try to give them my point of view. But why would I try to appease for everyone? I personally also don't like everyone I know, so why should the reverse be true? But you know, at the end of the day, these people will not have made it 20 minutes and 20 seconds into the video. Only real gooners like you all will have made it this far in. And I'm sorry to get so sentimental on you in an F-15 video. It's 2 AM. I just had to vent a little bit because I'm feeling very sussy right now. Again, thank you all, and I will see you in the next one.